afraid to live stream because of its bug. And people have been putting in the chats this symbol which automatically will destroy a live stream. And when that happens, uh, yeah, the thing just goes and crashes. And I was wondering what was going on with the last 3 or 4 live streams that I did on Friday. Two with Peter that just died in the middle. It was because of this symbol. Why? Why? And if so, I don't even, in fact, once a troll comes in here and copy pastes that symbol into the chat, probably this screen will die. This is the Telugu bug. I don't know if you've been following the news, but the Telugu bug is a symbol that if it's put into any iOS application or any Apple application, because of the bug, it just kills it. There's something in the text. It's just Apple can't deal with it. And my live streams have been dying. And this has been affecting Jennifer, my friend Jennifer as well, who could not live stream the other day. Her live streams was just like, once a troll with the secret symbol from Telugu, once they put it in, it was over. Just the chat in the iOS couldn't handle it. And I don't know, this is for everybody. This is the symbol. Do not put this in the chat. Do not search it and look and challenge me, because this chat will die. And for the longest time, I was searching for this for the last 36 hours, trying to figure out how this happened. And the only way that the chat could die, because it wasn't YouTube's fault, it's Apple's fault. And if you get this in any application, in fact, if you search a video where it's in the title, it will crash YouTube. So hopefully Apple patches this, because they've said that they will get on this as soon as possible, but I don't know when that'll be. All I know is that my tatami episode about the tatami room and the kotatsu, once a viewer put this symbol in the chat, it was over. And I tried to stream again, and then another troll, okay, haha, it's funny, because that's something maybe I would do if I was a teenager too. But once it goes into the chat, it's like, it's over. I don't know. I was just pretty shocked that one symbol can destroy Apple. It's like the poison in the apple, this one symbol. I don't know how, this is the symbol right here. It's from, I believe it's a southern, I never heard of Telugu. India has so many languages. I know my mother can speak Marathi, Hindi, and Kannada, which is the language of Bangalore. But I never heard of this language. And the text is so complicated looking. It's just, there's just something in it that will destroy it with the code. That's not it, Raul. So if this stream dies suddenly, it'll be a victim of somebody playing around with the code. It was shocking to me to find out that one symbol can destroy Apple. Anyways, I'm out here in the cold. It's a really chilly night. The weather is going in and out like it does in Tokyo and at the end of February. Those of you who are going to be making the trip to Japan in the next week should be aware. You should be aware that between the end of February and the beginning of May, the pollen, the hay fever is really, really bad. And for me, it starts next week. I can already kind of feel it. My throat is getting a little bit raspy, and my nose is starting to get a little bit runny. And it happens because there's days now at the end of winter where it's a few days hot and a few days cold, and things start to bloom. And when that happens, all bets are off, because everyone on the subway is sneezing. And if anyone has influenza, it's all over the place. So that's why you want to wear your masks. That's why people in Japan are wearing masks. It's hay fever season. This is mask season. So I don't know how long this live stream. Yeah, I'll be honest with you. I really didn't have a plan with this live stream, because I thought that it would, after a few minutes, it would die. Somebody would put in this symbol, and nobody has yet. So I don't know what to do now with the rest of my time. I guess I can go to the vending machine. Once again, here's the symbol for everybody who's joining me. And if people copy and paste that into into the chat, it's like it destroys the chat. And it's sort of a shame because I didn't know if I should live stream. I was gonna take you today to Denny's Japan. There's a Denny's restaurant. There's a Denny's restaurant where just near me, where the menu. Well, all Denny's are like this, but it's very very strange. If you go to Denny's in the United States, to see on the menu all Japanese items. There's no like Grand Slam breakfast. In fact, there's hardly any breakfast. There's pancakes, but they're considered dessert. So it's really unique. But I couldn't stream because I was afraid that it would just crash. I don't want to start something I can't finish. So if I start a live stream, there's a 7-Eleven where Gretchen made me drink a Monster in the middle of the night. If I start an interesting topic that you like and somebody copy pastes that code in and crashes it, I can't get back on because they'll be laughing with their buddies and is that a cop car? They'll be laughing. There's a car down there. Stop. They'll be laughing with their buddies and they're just gonna keep bombing the live stream and killing it. So I wouldn't be able to compete with that. Oh, okay. There's a vending machine nearby we can go to. So I just wanted to sneak in before next week just to tell you about this bug. I don't know, until Apple patches it, this is the bug again. Until Apple patches this, I don't know if I'm gonna be live streaming anything big. And I had so many really interesting topics to do this week, including one with Peter, where we were going to a really secret neighborhood in Tokyo. It's not secret, but it's something that not a lot of tourists know about. And then Jennifer, we were gonna meet up and do a live stream. But if Apple doesn't patch this bug and the live stream dies, it's like taking a few hours out of our day to meet up and do a live stream, and you just can't do it because there's always that one bad apple. You know what I'm talking about? You know who I'm talking about? That one guy, or probably usually a guy, but who will put that code in and destroy your world. All right, I'm at a vending machine. Let's get something. I might as well take you on a quest. Now you guys decide what I should get. This is a vending machine it's like a little area. They have alcohol and they have hot drinks. So you tell me what I should get. Here's corn soup, which I would like. I would prefer maybe something hot, but you guys can decide. What do you think? We have green tea, Monster, I don't think so. Kohi, get a beer, hot drink, corn soup with an with a puking symbol. That's not gonna happen. Corn soup, Asahi beer. It's between the beer and the cold soup. Corn soup. Here's the corn soup right here. Corn soup, Max coffee. Ooh, corn soup. It looks like it's gonna be corn soup just because, we got some beers coming in now. There's a Coke Zero. Oh, how about this one? This is red beans. This one is hot too. This is Oshiruko. We got beer, Fanta, corn soup. Oh, somebody just sneaked in a Dr. Pepper. You know what? Some wisecrack's gonna put that symbol in right near. That's not a drink. Anyone who's searching that symbol. All right, I'm gonna go for a corn soup because Stan said so, and then maybe a beer after that because I said so. All right, let's go for the corn soup. I love vending machines. They make that sound, you know, the sound of the can hitting the bottom. Oh, this is interesting. This is a Sapporo Polka machine. I don't get drinks from Sapporo Beverage very often. All right, let's get this. Corn soup. It's hot. Oh, it's nice and hot. Thanks, guys. This is great. All right. Jikuri. Koto koto. Shaki shaki. So it's got little pieces of corn in there. All right, let's try this out. How am I supposed to show you the corn? I don't have a bowl to put this. I don't have a bowl to put it in, so I don't know how. All right, here we go. Oh, oh wow, you can smell the corn. Oh, this is good. It is, you know what? It is a little bit creamed. It's like soup, really. It's basically corn soup with pieces of corn. Can you hear it? I don't know. I don't have a glass to pour it in to show you what it looks like, but that's pretty good. Um, yeah, I'm thinking about getting that, going back and getting a beer as well, but this corn soup will keep me warm. So it is not midnight yet, so this isn't considered a midnight snack run. But another episode that I wanted to bring you was I wanted to take you to my local gyudon shop and get a midnight snack. I wanted to do this yesterday night, but I couldn't do it because of this bug. I wanted to take you to Matsuya and get a gyudon. You have to get it from a vending machine. The ticket, you hand the ticket to the guy, and he gives you the gyudon. It takes him like 5 minutes, less than 5 minutes to get it to you. You eat it up, and then you're finished. The whole stream would take 10 minutes. But until this bug is resolved, I'm sort of sidelined. I'm sort of oh, this is the scarf that Amanda gave me in the New York meetup in December. It's keeping me warm today. This is a scarf day. There's not that much wind. It's funny. Yesterday, I have to tell you, yesterday I went to go see Mr. Seiichi. Do you know who Mr. Seiichi is? He's my Japanese neighbor. And he's 97 years old now. When he started on the Only in Japan series, he was 94 years old. So he's 3 years older, and he's starting a little bit to forget stuff. Now, I was with him and his granddaughter and father-in-law, and his daughter's father, his daughter's husband, and he was talking about a trip that he made where he went to China, okay, and I looked at his I guess his son-in-law. I looked over, and he's like, China. I don't remember that ever. I don't remember him ever being in China, but Mr. Seiichi, he just kept talking about how he went to China during the war. One of the episodes I'm doing is living in Japan and how people live to be so old. And of course, being 97 years old, he has all the secrets. Like, how did he get that old? Maybe it's just genetics. Maybe there's something else. So I'm looking into it. But a lot of this stuff, I'd ask him a question about his diet, and he would respond about how he was in World War II. And Mr. Seiichi was in the Philippines, and he went to oh, here's my favorite little stool here. So Mr. Seiichi was in the Philippines, and during World War II, he went into the service for the Japanese Imperial Army because there weren't any jobs in Japan at that time. Most people went into the army because it was the only job that they could find. That's what he said. So at 18 years old, probably a little bit younger, he wasn't sure of his own birth date. He was in the army and was sent to the Philippines on patrol as like a security guard. But I don't think he didn't really want to be there. Like a lot of people, they didn't know what they were doing there. And he lost, I think, everybody in his platoon or everybody in his group. He was the only one living in the forest, like hiding. And he kept on telling me he ate papaya and mangoes and coconuts, and he loves the Philippines and he wants to go back. And I look over at his son-in-law and he says, no, like, he didn't want to go back. That was the war, he wanted to come home. But he's saying how all these fond memories he had of the war. But when he talks to me about the Philippines, though, he really loves the Philippines. But I think after the war, he was arrested or taken in by the Americans. Now this is going to be really interesting. I think a lot of people don't know this information. in World War II, when people were getting arrested and taken in by the Americans knowing that there would be this kind of reconciliation, they treated the POWs really well. Um, Mr. Seiichi told me that he loves America basically because the treatment that he got from the Americans afterwards, he was living in the jungle without any food. And when he was arrested, it was like, it was hard, but it was also really good because he got lots of delicious food. He told me he got chocolate, he got bread, and he got like corned beef, probably in a can. The canned corned beef, the GI stuff. And he told me this. He said the other people that were captured with him, um, I shouldn't be smiling. It's sort of a sad story, but it's ironic. A lot of them died because they overate, because they were living like solitary lives, all scattered around the jungle and stuff. They ate so much corned beef and bread and chocolate and other stuff from the American GIs. They just kept eating it until they died because their stomachs, their bodies weren't used to food like that, I guess. I don't know, but he said that a lot of people um, died because of that, and that is something I didn't know. So every time I go and see him, and he tells me stories about World War II, about his point of view, the Japanese point of view, a point of view that I didn't get exposed to when I was in school. It's really eye-opening to me to see it from that point, that side, and I'm hoping I get a chance to talk with Mr. Seiichi again. He talked to me for an hour. He just kept talking and talking. And I hope I get a chance to sit down with him and get more of his stories because they're fascinating to hear how that side of the war was fought from his eyes abroad, from somebody who didn't want, he had to go because it was the only job. And yet after the war, he loves the United States and the Philippines. I mean, it's a really amazing story to me. So I want to hear more about that. Um, he also told me that after the war, he came back from a boat from the Philippines through Kyushu, which is the island in the bottom, and then from Kyushu he got to Hiroshima, and then from Hiroshima he took a train to Tokyo. And oh, thank you, Roland, from the Philippines. And he took a train from Hiroshima to Tokyo, and I asked him what Hiroshima was like after World War II because here's a guy in front of me. I used to live in Hiroshima for 2 years. I lived in Hiroshima back in the beginning of the 2000s, and I would walk past the A-bomb dome almost every day, quite often, and especially at night. And I would think about it. I made a live stream about this when I was hitchhiking through Hiroshima, and he was there like just after the bomb had gone off and saw all of the devastation. And I asked him what was it like, and he said hell. It was just hell. And I can't imagine, I can't imagine what he saw, and nobody took pictures. That's another thing he told me. I asked him about some pictures that he might have from his childhood. Nothing he survived. Imagine all the pictures that we take with the digital cameras. Yeah. He has almost no record of his past, which I thought was very interesting, and almost really sad because I want to know more about how life was in Japan, but because of the war, because of the fact that people just didn't have cameras back then, so he didn't have any real documentation of what his life was like before, I guess, 1950s or 60s, when cameras and pictures were becoming more prolific. His life, he doesn't even have a picture when he was in the service. My grandfather fought in World War II, and he has service pictures when he was in the army, and he has pictures when he left and got back. We have records of that in the U.S., but here in Japan, it's amazing how there's not much records of people who fought in World War II. And a lot of stuff was bombed, and Tokyo was destroyed and rebuilt, but you can still see, if you look in certain places, some of that history still marks the city of Tokyo. When he got back to Tokyo, he said that It was just so fast. This is yesterday. I couldn't live stream it. I think I made a post on Instagram. I couldn't live stream this because it was just because of the bug. Yeah, because of this. Oh, okay, it turned off here. Because of this bug. Yeah, this bug has been killing my live streams. It's a shame. I would have loved to have live streamed this and shared this with you. So yeah, I think I will. I'm seeing some of the chats coming in. They want more information on this, and I think I'll ask Mr. Seiichi when he's feeling better. He's actually in the hospital recovering from a broken back. He broke his spine. By the way, all the chunks of corn are now at the bottom, and it's cold. It's so cold out here. It's real corn. Real corn. Wow. Yeah, I'd love to get more insight onto Mr. Seiichi. In fact, not just Mr. Seiichi, but other people. Other people, because if we think about it, he's 97 and he was 18 in the war, and there aren't that many people who were around in the war that can give firsthand information on what they saw and experienced. We're losing a lot of these people, and I think I'm gonna try to find some more of them. A few years ago, this is interesting. I had a proposal from a friend of mine, a friend of a friend, who had access to letters from kamikaze pilots. Kamikaze, we say in Japanese, the kamikaze, or divine wind, although they were on suicide missions, right? I guess everybody knows what the kamikaze is. And he had access to the letters that the pilots would write before they went off on their last mission. In the beginning, the pilots were adults, and as the war went on, they got younger and younger, and pilots as young as 15 years old would make the trip from Kagoshima on the very tip of Kyushu, and they would fly out on their last mission. There's an excellent museum showing the pictures of every pilot that went out on these attacks. Many of them, they just couldn't do it because they knew they were doing harm. It's such a sad topic. They knew they were doing harm, and some of them would just go into the sea. Some of them, you couldn't come back because of the honor involved to your family. I mean, it would just be disgraceful to come back or to defect. You would have a shot of sake. I think they'd say bonsai, and then 3 times, and you would go on your way and onto your mission. And I had access to the guy who had to the letters, and that still might be something that I can bring to you through only in Japan, but just a lot of the records from World War II, and the people who were in that war are leaving us. A lot of them are passing away. Every day we lose more and more of them. So I want to talk with them and see. That's the history of Japan before World War II, after World War II. It just changed this country so much, and for me it's fascinating to get those firsthand views, like from Mr. Seiichi. Very, very interesting. So I'm going to try to do that over the next year, if I can. Try to find as many people. Mr. Seiichi doesn't know too many people. After the war, people kind of kept to themselves. And in general, the elderly, when I go to visit them, it's like nobody's really that like good friends. Well, granted, when I go to visit, a lot of the people are asleep in their chairs. He's the most lively person there. He's pretty lively for 97 years old. He gets around. It was just a couple of years ago, Mr. Seiichi could get he would get on the floor and do 10 push-ups at the age of 94. I remember the first time I met him, he would get on the floor and do 10 push-ups just to show that he could do that. I think I got video of that somewhere. And then he would get back up and he was like, whoosh. I was like, wow, you're how old? 93? You're doing 10 push-ups? You're insane. He had that kind of energy. And now you can see gradually Mr. Seiichi if 93 was young, he's in his, I guess he's like in his mature ages now, because he's starting to forget some stories, like I was telling you before. But I'm gonna do everything I can. I've seen, because I saw some of the comments, to try to do to try to bring some more firsthand accounts of World War II, what it was like to go in and come back, and what how Japan changed from before to after. Japan was a pretty tough country before World War II. Um, Tokyo had suffered from a massive earthquake at the turn of the century. That's why Tsukiji Market is at Tsukiji Market. It used to be at Nihonbashi, and they moved it because of that earthquake, and it just destroyed Tokyo. So you had that rebuilding, and then a couple, like a less than a decade later, then it starts the expansion of Japan, and then World War II, and then all the destruction there, and then the rebuilding. And Japan was a really hard place before World War II. And boy, the growth that they experienced after, with the help of the United States, I think, wow, it's to me, I want to try to document that if I can. A lot of you who are watching the show are quite informed. Some of you are on the history of Japan, and that's something that I'm really interested in, because the longer I stay here, the more the details matter to me. The more I'm really curious about the little finer things, not just the stories that are on the surface, but the question of why and who and how. Not just the when and the where. And when you live here in Japan, you have access to all of that, right? I got access. So I got to get those stories. Speaking of which, this live stream is surprising. I challenged the trolls to try to shut down the live stream, and nobody's copied and pasted the Telugu symbol. So it looks like we're still on. This is pretty cool. This is the longest live stream in like a week. I got back from Abashiri. So let me just break down what's happened in the last a week. I got back from Abashiri last week, back to Tokyo. I've edited the video, and the prison food video is going online in the next 24 hours. It's done. I just have, I've also been working on 3 other videos for the main channel. So they're gonna be coming out a lot in the next month. You're gonna see a lot more content. So that's coming out soon. It's really cool, because this is, I think I'm gonna call it the world's, I'm not gonna tell you what I'm gonna call it, but it's gonna be about the prison food here in Japan. And you can sort of compare it to, I don't know if you've seen the episode where I showed the school lunches in Japan. It's sort of on that same line, where I compare how Japan's school lunches are so healthy. They're like the healthiest school lunches in the world. And here we got prison food. We got prison food in Japan that is so healthy and looks so good. I could eat this like every day. And I mean, on the surface, you would say to yourself, yeah, Japanese prison probably isn't that bad. But in the episode, I want to bring you a little bit deeper into prison life, and maybe why it is really bad. Because prison is not good anywhere you go, but at least in Japan, you're not going to get, if you watched Prison Break or any prison movie, you have the Marys, and you have the, I don't know. I've never been to prison. You have gangs, you have groups, you have shivs, you have like a culture of violence, where people, they're the hardcore criminals are there without any love, and they do stuff to other criminals, especially the pedophiles, the people who are, not good. They're the worst of the worst, and they're the ones who usually get a lot of the, anyways, I don't have to talk too much about this. What I can say is that Japanese prisons are extremely strict, extremely regimented. It's almost like school. Here, I don't know. I'm being serious. I think maybe there's a comparison between school life while you're in school and work, except you can't go home. You have to live the daily regiment from morning to night. And when I was at the Abashiri prison, I highly recommend Candy art, yeah, I'll be getting to that. But I highly recommend a trip to Abashiri to see this prison museum. It's the only place in the world that I know. There are other prison museums around the world, but it's the only place, one, where you can try real prison food, and two, where you can get into a Japanese prison and see what it's like. I went into a wing of this is now turned into a museum, but there's a wing dedicated to the new prison life, and you can go into an actual cell that the prisoners live in Japan. The cells in Japanese prisons have tatami. I mean, and they got TVs, and they got futon, and they got a toilet, and I will put this all in the next episode coming in the next 36 hours. For me, it was fascinating to see the details, and probably one of the most fascinating museums I've ever visited in Japan, because it surprised me. It's actually hands-on. It's actually you can get into the situations and see exactly what life is like. So it is really cool. And Gretchen's here, so it is really cool for me to do that, to sit inside of a Japanese prison cell, and hear the doors slam, and know that I'm getting out. And I was able to get home. I didn't have to stay in the slammer. But I'm really excited to bring that episode. I'm just putting the finishing touches on it, and it should be out. Probably I should have finished tonight and start uploading it tomorrow. So the thumbnail looks pretty good. In fact, I'll put the thumbnail onto Instagram later on. So if you're checking out Instagram, the thumbnail will be up there. How many places have you not visited in Japan? Lee Wu? Oh, did somebody just try to post the symbol? So Ryan Santos posted the symbol right now, and it didn't, the stream stayed on. Huh. What does that mean? Ozzy Mandia says it didn't work. Hey, you know what? Try copy pasting that symbol like 100 times maybe. Can Trollster stop posting Telugu words? Well, if you're gonna post a Telugu word, post the right one, okay? Alright, yeah, Walter Rommel posted it and it didn't work. Maybe YouTube fixed it. I don't know. All I know is that the live streams were crashing about 36 hours ago, and YouTube has fixed it. The trolls are trying, and we've won. So that's the only reason why I'm still speaking at 30 minutes into this live stream is for people to challenge the Telugu symbol, and we have seemed to have won. Yeah, so the Japanese prisons. I want to go back to that. Maybe it was a YouTube problem. Who knows? Ozzy, you might be right. I'm looking at the live stream here. Ozzy might be right. Yeah. Yeah, so just going back to the prisons, I think, Raj, I'm thinking about a midnight snack run since it's like midnight now. I am hungry. But I went to Denny's before and had a really big meal. Those pictures are on Instagram, by the way. So yeah, Japanese prisons, because I actually, believe it or not, I inquired about trying to get into the Tokyo prison and trying to see what life was like with a police officer, and he said, I can't do a drive, I can't drive with the cops in the back on patrol. They wouldn't let me do that. I literally asked the PR department. Number two, I couldn't record the police stations or life inside of a police station, and three, they wouldn't let me into the prisons, and he said there's no way I would get access. But at Abashiri in North Hokkaido, which is sort of like the Alcatraz of Japan, because it was a place where if you were put there in the winter, you had the harshest conditions. I had minus 18 degrees Celsius when I was there at night in the beginning of February. It's that cold, and it's just the worst place to be put in a prison. Apparently, that's where the political prisoners were held, and a lot of people died building the road 100 years ago from Asahikawa all the way up to that area. It was pretty harsh back then. It was the worst of the worst. And you can go to that prison and experience what life is like in a Japanese prison. Hokkaido is famous for its prisons. It's like, Hokkaido is like the Australia of Japan. It's where the prisoners were sent back in the Edo period when they didn't want them anymore. Yeah, you know what? Send them to Hokkaido because they can, help build the infrastructure. Or we don't want them in Honshu. Send them up to Hokkaido. So a lot of them went up there, and I asked the the warden, who was, I before I went to the Abashiri prison, I called 2 weeks in advance and got permission to film. Typically, you're not allowed to film um, a lot there. I guess, of course, you can use your smartphone and film something, but you're not allowed to film deep inside. And I got access to do that as well as fly my drone over the prison there. And he told me some stuff like uh, the conditions were bad. He actually was really nice to have his insight because he could show me some of the things that I wouldn't have picked up without having somebody like a guide with me. But he was very appreciative of me contacting him because he said people don't usually do that, and he gave me access to everything, including I didn't have to pay for the trying the prison food. He was really nice. He treated me to that. But once again, Abashiri, this is the high season for this place in Hokkaido, and you get to try the prison food, and you get to see what a real prison's like. And I can't recommend it enough because it was just so much fun. Let's see, what else is there? How was the prison food? That's what the episode's about. Beer, beer. Okay. You know what? I'm really cold now, so I don't know if I can go and get this beer. That's the only beer vending machine in my neighborhood, believe it or not. It is pretty chilly out here. More corn soup. I put it in my pocket, and I'm afraid to say it, but half of it spilled. Well, the corn that was in the bottom spilled into my pocket, and it's not a very pleasant feeling right now. So my hands are in my other pocket now. I should have brought gloves. Amanda only gave me the scarf. The bug seems to not have crashed, so I got some people asking about it. The bug, which is the reason why I'm live streaming, apparently did not crash the live stream. So we're still good. That's where I wanted to take you. You see that over there? You see that over there? This is a Matsuya. This is a gyudon restaurant. And because the streams were crashing all the time, I wanted to take you there last night at midnight. But because the streams were crashing all the time, I didn't take you into the gyudon restaurant. So it's too late to do that now. YouTube only publishes the notifications on live streams once a day, which is a shame. So I'll do that at another time. I do want to get a drink, but it's a lonely road. It's a really lonely road. It's just quiet out here. Again, the temperature here in Tokyo right now is really chilly. It's expected to snow tomorrow. At least I was told that yesterday, and this is gonna be cold night. I gotta actually get back and finish up the prison episode. I just wanted to come out here and challenge the trolls to put. I wanted to challenge the trolls to put in the Telugu symbol that was crashing everything, and they did, and nothing happened. So that was the whole purpose of this live stream, and nothing happened, and I really didn't have anything to tell you except for what I've been up to. I'm thinking of going down to Osaka, and I might do a meetup at the end of this month. For anyone who's visiting in Tokyo, I might do a meetup in Asakusa at the end of the month. So all the meetup stuff is going to be on Facebook. I'll make an event page. And I thought about a challenge. Right now, the Patreon page that I do for financial support for the channel, it's almost at 300 patrons, and we're about to hit a really like a milestone, another goal. So I'm thinking if we can hit that goal of getting 300 patrons, maybe maybe I'll do a live stream every day in March. It's like the magic number is 3. You know, we have 300 patrons, and March has 30 days. It's a third month, and maybe I should do 30 streams, a stream every day. So yeah, if we can get on Patreon, I'm gonna try to make that challenge in March to do a stream every day. There's just too many things I want to cover. I'm really happy to have the live streaming channel, this one, because it allows me to uh, cover topics that I couldn't do on the other channel. In fact, I have a lot of people who are contacting me to do. I'm gonna walk around a little bit more, stay warm. I've had people contact me to cover some things. They give me like business inquiries. I don't I don't really like to do like sponsored work like that too much on a business or a hotel, but if it's a way to bring good information to you on something that you might be interested in any ways, and a chance for me to promote something that might be an interest to them, and if I can do it in my way, which is something that might be more fun, then I think that's not a bad thing, right? So I might try to do some of these with the live stream through the Only in Japan Go channel, um, because I like to have fun. They're like unloading a truck for 7-Eleven. That's pretty cool. You know, no one would ever YouTube that. I mean, has anyone ever introduced that to you? A truck unloading? It's not that cool. Maybe that's why. Mix. All right. I supported you in Patreon recently. I hope that you keep the live streams going. Thank you very much. Yeah, all the Patreon stuff, it does make a huge difference because literally that funded the trip to Abashiri. And I made 2 episodes and like 5 live streams from up there. All of that was just possible because of that's for Channel Omu. That's PHP is the Philippines. Yeah, all of that was paid for with Patreon, which is really amazing. Like, and I didn't know about this last until a year ago. Patreon.